The office was almost silent now, save for the faint hum of the air conditioning and the rhythmic tapping of Wine's fingers against the keyboard. It was late, the kind of late that made the city outside look softer, hushed, clogged in shadows and scattered streetlight. Wine, I'm heading out. Her colleague 𝐲𝐬𝐬 stood at the edge of her cubicle, wrapping her scarf around her neck. You should too, it might rain soon. Wine hummed in response without even looking up, eyes fixed on the bright screen. She adjusted her glasses and muttered under her breath, if our royal pain of a CEO didn't dump a day's workload at 6 p.m., I would be home watching my drama right now. 𝐲𝐬𝐬 chuckled, glancing toward the CEO's darkened office. He's been weird lately, hasn't he? Especially with you. It's like he has a sixth sense for when you laugh or breathe. One snorted. Seriously, the man acts like the air turns toxic when I exist near any colleague. I was literally telling Nick a joke and he looked like he was going to set the building on fire. Classic Mr. Kim. 𝐲𝐬𝐬 rolled her eyes. Anyway, good luck surviving his rap night. Night, Wine replied, waving her off before slumping back in her chair. A tired sigh escaped her lips. Freaking 𝐾𝐫𝐮𝐬𝐬. After another hour of silent clicking, Wine yawned and stretched arms over her head as her back popped slightly. She switched off her monitor, packed her bag, and trudged toward the glass exit. Her heels echoed in the empty corridor as she pushed through the doors. Then she stopped and groaned. Raindrops danced mercilessly on the pavement, a silver curtain pouring down from the heavens. She pulled her phone out and tried hailing a cab. Nothing. Every app glitched or showed red text, no rides available in your area. Of course, she muttered. Thanks, 𝐾𝐫𝐮𝐬𝐬. I hope your pillow's uncomfortable tonight. She adjusted her coat, preparing herself mentally. Okay, the bus stop is a few meters away. I can run. A sudden presence beside her made her turn. An umbrella opened above her, shielding her from the rain. Her eyes widened. Standing there under the dim yellow light of the building entrance was 𝐾𝐫𝐮𝐬𝐬 himself. His black coat looked sharp against the downpour, and a few drops glistened in his dark hair. His eyes, always cold and unreadable, were fixed solely on her. One blinked, lips parted in surprise. He was too close. His scent hit her nose before she could form a proper thought. Clean, warm, and frustratingly addictive. What are you still doing at this hour? 𝐾𝐫𝐮𝐬𝐬 asked, voice deep and calm. She hesitated, then muttered under her breath. Oh, you know, just living the dream you dumped on me. What? His brow rose sharply. Wine blinked, realizing he heard that. She cleared her throat and quickly gave a too sweet smile. I mean, I was just finishing up. No complaints. Love my job. Love late nights. Her voice went an octave higher out of sheer panic. 𝐾𝐫𝐮𝐬𝐬 just stared for a second before humming. Come, I'll drop you. No need. Wine laughed awkwardly, waving a hand. It's just a little rain. Bill's character, he didn't move. You won't find a cab. The buses will take hours and I'm not offering again. Her brow twitched, arrogant much, as if she asked him to chauffeur her around. Still, his tone left no room for argument, and truth to be told, her soaked shoes were already screaming. Fine, she sighed. They walked side by side under the umbrella, a strange silence falling between them. The closeness made her hyper-aware of everything, how his arm brushed hers ever so slightly, how tall he actually was, how the warmth of his body radiated beside her like a secret fire. They reached his sleek black car, and the driver silently opened the door. They let her in first, then got in beside her. She gave her address, and the car pulled smoothly into the rain. Wine leaned against the window, staring out at the water streaking down the glass. Her fingers lightly touched the cold pane, tracing raindrops as they raced down. Her eyes shimmered in the reflections, melancholy, quiet, beautiful. 𝐾𝐫𝐮𝐬𝐬 watched how she tucked her hair behind her ear absent-mindedly. Watched how she smiled faintly at nothing. You like the rain? He asked suddenly, his voice low, curious. She turned to him, eyes lighting up as if he had asked about her favorite dessert. God, I love it. It's like the world gets softer. It washes away all the chaos and just slows things down, don't you think? 𝐾𝐫𝐮𝐬𝐬's lips twitched. It's cold, messy, inconvenient. One gasped dramatically. What? You're heartless. I'm practical. You're a rain hater. That's tragic. He looked at her amused. It ruins plans. It makes new ones, she countered. You can't tell me you have never looked out of a rainy window and felt poetic. Poetic, he echoed slightly. Wine grinned. Figures you're too grumpy to understand, and you're too idealistic, he replied, but his eyes lingered on the way her lashes fluttered when she laughed softly. Their shoulders brushed again. She tensed, scooting a little away as her cheeks warmed. 𝐾𝐫𝐮𝐬𝐬 glanced away, jaw tight. The rest of the ride passed in soft, buzzing silence, just the hum of the engine and the beat of the rain. When they reached her street, the car slowed. She looked up, startled. Oh, this is me. The driver stopped. Wine turned to him. Thanks for the ride, Mr. Kim. Her voice was soft again, almost shy. She stepped out. The rain, now just a light drizzle. 𝐾𝐫𝐮𝐬𝐬 stayed in the car, watching as she walked up her steps, the umbrella a bright pop of a color in the night. Just before she disappeared inside, she turned and gave a tiny wave with a smile that felt dangerous. That smile stayed with him. So did her scent, her laugh. The look in her eyes when she talked about the rain like it was magic. 𝐾𝐫𝐮𝐬𝐬 leaned back in his seat, letting out a deep breath. He placed his palm against his chest, as if trying to calm the storm there. This girl is making me crazy, he muttered, closing his eyes. Few days later, the hotel ballroom glimmered with warm lights, soft music playing, as elegantly dressed guests mingled under chandeliers, laughter echoed, and champagne glasses clinked. The celebration for Director Park's recent wedding in full swing. The air was filled with the buzz of well wishes, the scent of roses and wine. Tim had arrived an hour ago, clad in crisp black tuxedo. His collar slightly loosened, his eyes weren't focused on the decor or the crowd. His jaw was tight, fingers clenching the glass of whiskey in his hand. He was waiting for her desperately. His eyes kept scanning the doorway again and again until one walked in, simple, graceful, breathtaking. A satin navy gown hugged her form softly, the neckline modest but flattering, the skirt flowing gently around her ankles. Her hair was tied loosely with a few soft strands framing her delicate face. Light makeup, a hint of gloss, a pair of pearl earrings, nothing loud, nothing extravagant. Yet the entire room fell into a hush, like someone had just walked in carrying the moonlight. Tim sucked in a breath, his lower lip caught between his teeth, his body tense. She looked around nervously, clearly overwhelmed by the attention, and then her eyes met his. She froze, and so did he. The single moment stretched infinitely. The heat in his gaze was intense, unspoken. Her heartbeat kicked wildly in her chest before she looked away quickly, trying to calm her nerves. Her breath was shallow, fingers tightening around her clutch. Tim ran a hand through his hair with a sigh that had both agony and awe. She was here, she looked like poetry, and he couldn't touch her. He noticed how she limped slightly, those damn heels. He hated those shoes instantly. Later, the crowd lifted their glasses in unison for a toast to Director Park and his beautiful bride. One smiled and raised her glass too, only for a nearby employee to lean toward her with a grin. "You're stealing the bride's thunder tonight, One. Honestly, how can someone look that stunning with just this?" He gestured at her gown admiringly. Before she could respond, a cold voice cut through. "What's so stunning? She looks just fine." All heads turned towards him, who hadn't even moved from his place near the bar. His eyes were fixed on his drink, but the disdain in his tone echoed through the room like frost. One blinked, jaw tightening. "Well, thank you for your generous feedback, Mr. Kim," she said sweetly, her sharp tone slicing right back. "I'll try harder to be just fine next time." A few chuckles broke through the awkwardness. Another colleague laughed, adding, "Come on, sir. Even you have to admit she looks gorgeous tonight." "There's no doubt," Iara said, giving her a wink. Tim's grip on his glass tightened dangerously. He didn't speak again, but his glare shot toward every man who dared look too long at her. When some female employees began teasing Wine about when she was getting married, Tim's heart sank a little deeper. He was so still, so quiet, but every word clawed at him. The evening wore on. The ladies gathered for their games and dances. Laughter rang out as they took over the dance floor. Wine danced, twirled, swayed, her laughter light and unfiltered. Tim stood alone in the corner, drink untouched, watching her like a man starved of sunlight. He was smitten. No, he was ruined. And the worst part, he didn't even know what to do. Dinner was served. Everyone found their seats at the long banquet hall. Wine took the end spot with her friends just as they were settling, and strode over and sat beside her. The table went silent for a moment. He didn't look around. He didn't care who noticed. His knee brushed hers beneath the table. Wine's spine straightened instinctively, her heart skipped. He rising to her face. She tried to shift, but his knee was still there casually, like it didn't mean anything. But her skin burst where they touched. She glanced sideways. His face was unreadable, completely calm. Was he even aware? They began eating, and Wine took a small sip from her wine glass. Her gloves left a faint print on the rim. One of her male colleagues leaned forward slightly and smiled. "You have a beautiful laugh, Wine. Did anyone ever tell you that?" Wine blushed, giggling softly. "You are too kind." But then her glass was yanked from her hand. Everyone looked up in surprise as Sam brought the glass to his lips and downed it one go, his Adam's apple bobbing as he drank straight from the lipstick mark spot. Wine's eyes widened. "That was mine. Not anymore," he said, voice rough, low, and final. He picked up the bottle, refilled the glass, steady hands, and drank again. All from the same place she had sipped. A hush fell over the table. Wine's face burned. She looked away, heart thudding in her chest. Everyone stared and whispered, but Thames' sharp glare made them shut up instantly. Everyone ducked their heads and resumed eating in stiff silence while whispers bubbled around the room. Dessert came and went. Tham wandered away, unable to stay seated. His head felt heavy, his vision swam just slightly. He didn't drink often, but tonight was different. From his corner, he watched as Wine struggled to walk out of the hallroom, limping slightly with a blister on her heel. Minutes passed, and then she walked out of the ballroom. Tim didn't think. He stumbled slightly, following her out in the empty hallway. "Wine," she turned, surprised as he called his name for the first time. "Sir?" He grabbed her wrist and put her into a quiet corner, shielding her from the view of the ballroom. "What are you doing?" She hissed, her back hitting the wall. His eyes were half-lidded, hands cupping her face, thumbs brushing her cheekbones, his breath warm laced with wine. "Marry me," he whispered. She gasped, hands on his chest. "You're drunk." "I'm not," he said, voice firm. "I want you. Marry me." "Mr. Kim," her voice trembled. "Please, someone might come here." He leaned closer, brushing his thumb over her lower lip. I don't care. Please leave, she whispered, face flushed. Then he stepped back suddenly and kneeled. What are you doing? She gasped, kneeling with him. He grabbed her hands, not letting her touch the ground. Don't kneel in front of me, he mumbled. Ever. You have blisters, he muttered, carefully removing her heels. Let me. Her breath caught. He was gentle, his fingers cradling her sore feet like it was glass. The CEO on his knees for her. She stared in stunned silence. I have already sent for my driver. He slurred gently. He's bringing your slippers. You'll go in those. Not understep in these damn shoes. Thank you, she whispered in a daze. He shook his head. Don't thank me. Then just as quickly he stood and walked away before she could say another word. She stood alone, hand gripping the wall for support. Her heart was a thunderstorm. Don't do this to me, Mr. Kim, she whispered. We both know we belong to different worlds. Just then the driver appeared beside her, holding a paper bag. Miss Wine, he bowed politely. Sir asked me to bring these for you. He also instructed me to take you home safely. She took the slippers with shaking hands. Thank you. The ride home passed in silence, but her mind, a mess of heartbeats, stolen glances, and the memory of a powerful man kneeling with trembling hands to hold her pain. And somewhere in a car in the parking lot, Thames sat with his head in his hands, falling helplessly, hopelessly in love. Time skip. Ever since the night of the ballroom party, Wine had done everything in her power to avoid Kim. Late arrivals, early exits, skipped coffee breaks, and staying buried in paperwork, anything to avoid his eyes, his voice, or worse, his touch. But Tim noticed. He noticed everything. Her absence from the morning meetings, her vanishing before lunch, her distance, even in passing hallways. And now today, she wasn't even in the building. Sick leave, he muttered, leaning back in his office chair, fingers tugging harshly at his tie. She was fine yesterday. He felt hollow, like some part of him was missing. He hadn't been able to focus all day, snapping at interns, rejecting perfectly good proposals, pacing his office until his ashtray filled with cigarette stubs, breaking his own rules, and drinking the entire day. By the afternoon, he gave up. He needed clarity. He texted his best friend Ryan. Need a drink? Meet me at Mira's now. He left the office without a word and drove to the quiet restaurant tucked near the riverside. As he entered, the warm interior smelled of aged wine and fresh herbs. The golden lights were dim, the place softly humming with conversations and cutlery clinks. But then he stopped dead in his tracks. Their wine was sitting just a few feet away, her back to him, elegant as always. A modest beige blouse, silver hoops, and her hair in a low ponytail. She was smiling, but not at him. Opposite her sat a young man, handsome and far too charming for Thames' taste. His jaw clenched. She's sick, he scoffed to himself. Without thinking, he sat at the table directly behind them and signaled the waiter, whiskey neat. He quickly texted Ryan, not coming, change of plans. His ears were now turned like a radar. So Wine, the man across her grinned. I have to say you're even prettier than your photos. Wine laughed softly. That's just good angles and filters. No, it's not. You're the kind of woman who could make people fall in love just by walking into the room. Tim nearly snapped his glass in half. He stared blankly at the liquid, his fingers twitching, his breath shallow. Blinded, he didn't need confirmation. Tim stood suddenly, every step purposeful as he strode toward them. Wine's eyes caught his figure, and her face instantly drained of color. Mr. Kim, she whispered, stunned. Elise raised an eyebrow. Without a word, Tim grabbed Wine's wrist, not harshly but firmly, and said, We need to talk. Mr. Kim, she stammered, but her legs followed before her mind could protest. He brought her to a quiet hallway. Near the restrooms, the hum of the restaurant now distant behind the plush walls. The moment they were alone, she pulled her arm back, her brows furrowed. Mr. Kim, you're drunk again. No, I'm not. He rasped, voice rough and low. His hands reached for her face, fingertips brushing her jaw, warm and trembling. I'm not drunk. Not on alcohol anyway. And then he kissed her, crashing his lips against hers, tasting the shock on her breath, the curve of her softness. His arm slid around her waist, pulling her flesh against his chest. Wine went rigid for a heartbeat, heart racing wildly. Then just as suddenly, he broke the kiss, pulling back as if wound. I'm sorry, he whispered, but his eyes were locked on her lips as if trying to memorize the taste, the shape, the feeling. His thumb brushed over the bottom lip gently. You're killing me, he murmured. Wine's breath-hinged lips parted, eyes wide. He dropped his forehead to hers, breath mingling. His voice was barely a whisper. You're the only one who's made me feel like this. I hate this. I hate how I look for you everywhere. How I can't sleep, can't breathe. Don't marry him. Mr. Kim, she breathed almost brokenly. You're drunk again. He shook his head slowly. No, I'm drunk on you. Every part of you. I'll prove it. Let me. He stumbled slightly. One quickly caught him by the arm. God, you're okay? You are a little drunk. He leaned his head against her shoulder, breath fanning the side of her neck. She shivered. You left me useless, he slurred. Look at me. I can't work. I can't think. I'm drinking, smoking, acting like a maniac. One sighed and reached into his pocket, pulling out his phone. Unlock it. He peeked at her and grinned lazily. Only if you let me kiss you again. Her eyes widened, pervert. He chuckled, leaned in and kissed her cheek softly. Fine, face unlocked. The phone blinked open. She quickly dialed his driver. Tim slumped further against her, mumbling incoherently into her neck. His words were jumbled but affectionate. She sat him down on a side bench, brushing his hair from his face as he grumbled something about her son driving him insane. Soon the driver arrived. "Thank you, Miss Wine," the driver said respectfully as he helped him up. "I'll take him home safely." Tim, half awake now, looked at her one last time. "Please don't go on dates that aren't mine." One was silently. As he disappeared into the car, her heart was a mess, knees weak. She returned to the table, mind clouded. Reese smiled, sipping from his glass. "Took you long enough," he teased. Wine gave him a look. "I thought you'd be gone by now." He leaned forward, propping his chin on his palm. "I almost was, but I had to see if you'd come back." "And?" She challenged lightly. He chuckled. "And now I know. He doesn't just know you, he wants you badly." Wine said, trying to calm the storm inside. "He's my boss. He's in love with you." She went silent. He smiled kindly. "So, should I still expect you to follow through our parent-approved dating deal?" "I'll do what I promised," she said softly. "You won't be blamed, Reese. I'll refuse Joseph." He nodded. "Thanks, Wine, for being honest." They stood together and he gave her a friendly hug before walking away. Wine lingered, stepping outside. The air was cool, the city light soft. "Don't marry him." Tim's words echoed again and again. She touched her lips, still warm from his kiss. Her heart thundered, her mind chaos, and her soul trembling toward the man who just kissed her like she was his whole damn universe. 2 days later. Days passed and Wine never returned to the office. Her absence had been deafening, like silence after a storm. Tim sat in his glass-walled office every day, eyes flicking to the empty desk across from his, heart pounding every time footsteps echoed in the corridor, only for it to never be heard. Her phone went unanswered, not just his calls, everyone's. "She hates me," he whispered one night, sinking into his leather couch, eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. "She heard what I said when I was drunk, and now she hates me." But the weight on his chest had grown unbearable. He couldn't sit still anymore. So today, after countless battles with his pride, Kim Tae made a decision. He was going to her. Standing before her modest home, he tucked his coat closed against the soft morning wind, brushing his fingers through his hair before ringing the bell. The door creaked open. Wine's mother blinked in surprise, eyes softening as she took in the striking man standing on her porch. "I'm Kim Tae," he introduced with a low bow, voice smooth yet uncertain. "I'm Miss Wine's boss." A bit then her father stepped beside his wife and smiled warmly. "Of course, Mr. Kim. Come in, please." They led him inside, offering him a seat on the floral-patterned sofa in their cozy living room. Tim sat, fingers curling on his knees, nervousness buzzing under his skin. "We'll just call her down," her mother said kindly before walking to the hallway. Just then, a yawn echoed. Came a sleepy voice, footsteps dragging on the wooden floor, barefoot, in her pale pink pajamas, hair messy, ruffled, and soft from sleep, eyes still half shut as she stretched her arms above her head, and then she froze mid-yawn, because her gaze had locked with his. Tim's heart skipped violently. His eyes lit with a tenderness he didn't even try to hide, tracing her from head to toe. The sleepy pout on her lips, the disoriented blink, the frizzy bun, the little mole under her collarbone peeking out from the neckline of her sleep shirt. She looked like a dream, his dream. Her lips parted in disbelief. "Why are you here?" she stammered, rubbing her eyes. "Am I dreaming?" He leaned back against the sofa, one arm resting lazily across the top, legs stretched wide in an infuriating display of calm arrogance. "If you were dreaming, you would be wearing something more sinful." Her cheeks flamed. "What?" "Wine, go get dressed. You have to accompany Mr. Kim for a meeting today." Wine blinked rapidly. "What?" Her father raised a brow, arms crossed. "You did resign, right? Then taking unannounced leave is unacceptable." Wine's jaw clenched. "It's not." "We'll get late," Tim interrupted coolly, adjusting his cuffling without even looking at her. She glared at him, liar, she muttered under her breath, before spinning around and storming off to her room. Tim's lips curled slightly. 20 minutes later, Wine walked out of her room looking nothing like the mess from before. She wore a modest blouse and slacks, hair tied back neatly, soft gloss on her lips, composed, graceful, but her eyes still carried a storm. Tim stood, immediately bowing slightly to her parents. "Thank you for your hospitality." Wine followed him outside, barely keeping up with his long strides. "Where are you going?" He didn't look at her. "Somewhere we can talk. You lied to my parents," she hissed. "I had to," he shrugged. "You wouldn't have come otherwise, would you?" She fell silent and slid into the passenger seat. of his car. The car ride was too quiet. One kept her eyes out of the window, her fingers fidgeting in her lap, but her eyes widened in surprise when they pulled up to a luxurious building, his penthouse. Inside, the penthouse was dimly lit by warm morning light streaming in through the tall windows. The city sprawled far below. Everything smelled of cedarwood, leather, and him. Bring breakfast for wine. Thank called a maid, then added, and coffee, black. Why did you bring me here? Wine sat safely on the plush sofa was small. He sat beside her, knees almost touching. It's quiet here, no one will interrupt us. But I'll take you somewhere else if you want. She shook her head again, uncertain. Unable to hold it anymore, Wine asked, what do you want to talk about? He looked at her, voice soft. Have breakfast first, you haven't eaten. She frowned, but her stomach betrayed her with loud growl. Have raised a brow, amused, told you. Soon the maid returned with a plate full of warm toast, scrambled eggs, fruit, and tea. The moment Wine took a bite, her eyes fluttered shut and she let out a low moan. Your maid's cooking is divine. A small smile crept on his lips. You'll get to eat it every day from now on. She choked on her food. He immediately handed her water. Eat slowly, no one's stealing your food. Flushed, she quietly resumed eating, painfully aware of his gaze burning holes into her skin. When the dishes were cleared, she turned to him, heartbeat growing uneven. What is this about, Mr. Kim? He stared at her. Why haven't you come to the office? She looked away, twisting her fingers in her lap. I want to resign. That snapped something in him. He shifted closer, but she stood up nervously. Before she could step away, he blocked her path, gently but firmly guiding her back onto the sofa. She stumbled slightly, landing with a soft gasp. He braced one knee on the couch beside her, hand pressing into the cushion by her head, catching her in. Why? His voice was cold. She didn't answer. Her eyes avoided his, darting around the room. He lifted her chin with a single finger. His voice was a low murmur. Why, that night I know you were drunk. She quickly cut him flustered. He gently forced her gaze to meet his. I was drunk, but I meant every word. He leaned closer, his breath ghosting over her lips. Marry me. She swallowed thickly. Why? He dropped his forehead to hers, closing his eyes as he exhaled. Because when you smile, I forget how to breathe. Because you make me lose control. You make my heart race. I hate seeing you cry. You make everything else fail. He lifted his head just enough to look at her. Because I want to be the only man who breathes the same air as you. I want to be the only one who touches you, feels you, kisses you. One gasped softly, lips trembling. Then she slightly pushed him and stood up, stammering. I don't know what to say. You have been ignoring me for days. She began walking to the door. I wasn't ignoring you. His voice stopped her. You were avoiding me. She froze as he walked up behind her and slowly pulled her into his arms, back flush to his chest. You wanted me to chase you. His voice was teasing. She bit her lip nervously. I wanted you to admit you're not as cold as you pretend. His voice darkened, laced with hate. You make me weak. Is that what you want to hear? She smirked softly, maybe. He turned her around to face him, hand lifting to caress her cheek with his thumb. I have spent years building walls, Wine. Then you came, and now I want to leave the gates wide open. I don't want you marrying anyone else. I don't want anyone touching you. I don't want to be your boss anymore. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Then what do you want? His eyes darkened, dipping his head until their noses touched. I want you, in every way. Her breath caught. You can't just say that, she whispered. Why not? He murmured. You felt it too, those nights, even now. This is insane. He brought his hand to the back of her neck, gently gripping. Tell me to stop. She said nothing, didn't move. And so Theo closed the space between them and captured her lips. The kiss was slow at first, soft, hesitant, then fire ignited. One clutched his collar in one hand, the other sliding up to tangle in his thick silky hair as his hands wrapped around her waist. His lips molded against hers with need, with longing. Their breaths were raised, lips moving in sync, tongues brushing as they hungrily devoured each other. He pulled back just enough to whisper against her swollen lips. Tell no to that man. Wine blinked, her lips trembling. He has someone he likes. Parents forced him to that blindly. She whispered, and let out a deep breath of relief, pulling her tightly against his chest, burying his face in her hair. She held him close. For the first time in days, they both breathed again.